How we doing, YouTube? This weekend I'm going to do a video about knife sharpening. So with that being said, we're going to get right into the kit. And the kit I use is the KME Precision Sharpening Kit. Right out of the box, it comes with everything you need. So let's go through that right quick. Alright, so the kit I have put into a tackle box. And the reason why I've done that is it organizes everything really nice. And you can see I've got all of the hones separated and organized from grit. You've got the 50 grit beast all the way up to the 1500 grit, and then my leather strop. I've got some Sharpies in here, and I'll explain why I have Sharpies in a minute. The Arkansas stones, an empty dispenser bottle. I'm assuming you can put some water in there, and the reason why you want some water is to keep your diamonds clean. I've got the tapered diamond, and that's for your serrated edge knives, which is really nice to have. I keep this old golf cleaning brush. The reason why I have that is after you get done, you want to maintain your diamond hones, get all the debris off of them, and keep them clean. So that's why I have that. I also bought, in addition to the kit, this axe mount, and it's got rare earth magnets on it, which is really nice because they're strong and they'll stay attached to the axe. The adjustable angles on it to find the angle of your axe, and then of course the guide. So that's really nice to have if you do a lot of splitting logs and things of that nature. The base comes with honing oil, the 4 micron CBN emulsion. We'll go through that later. And then of course the handle with the built-in guide. So that's really nice to have as well, which it comes with. And then we'll go over this magic miracle oil as well. So then that doesn't come with the kit. This is just stuff I have around the house, and this stuff is a miracle solution. So the knife that I like to carry, or the style of knife that I like to carry, is manufactured by Case. I don't have to explain to you who Case is. And it's a Stockman. It's a 3-bladed knife. It has a clip point, which is this blade right here. It's just a really handy, you know, all-purpose blade. I mean, cutting, twine, any type of cutting you need to do. And then there is the Spay Blade, which admittedly I don't use a lot. We do have a farm here. We keep cows and cattle every now and again. This blade here is really handy for castrating calves. When we do that around here, we have castrating blades for that purpose. So I keep this blade maintained and sharp, but I really don't use this blade a lot. And then the blade that I really use a lot is the sheep's foot blade. As you can see, it's pretty filthy, and I'll show you how we can kind of get that cleaned up. And this is actually the blade we're going to sharpen today. So now you may be asking yourself, why is a devilishly handsome man that's wearing camo Husqvarna hat carrying a pink and purple hat? So the backstory behind that is I've always carried a Case knife. My grandfather carried them, and then I inherited his knife, so I started asking for knives for birthdays and Christmas. When we had kids, my son said, "Dad, I really want that knife when I get older." Well, all right, I'll get you a knife. So we got that knife, and of course my other son, he had to have a knife too. So they got an orange knife and a black knife, and then of course we had a little girl, and the knife she wanted to pick out was, guess what? Pink and purple. So I'm going to carry this knife for a little while, and now we've got, excuse me, a grandbaby, and I guess whenever she gets old enough, she'll pick out a knife for herself. And eventually I'll get to circle back around and pick a knife for myself. So that's the backstory for why I'm carrying a pink and a purple knife right now. But anyways, this is a medium Stockman. I like to carry the large Stockman because, as you can see, for hands, it fits, but it's not comfortable. So I prefer the large Stockman. Anyways, let's get into sharpening. So like I went through before, you can see that there are some degrees on this base or this handle that they send with the kit. And I keep about a 22 degree on this blade. Now the Case blade is a double bevel, so I guess, and as simplified as I can put it, I guess that equates to a 44 degree blade. And what that's going to equate to is a really good, very durable, but very sharp blade. So we're going to go through setting this system up, and I'm thinking you can probably hear my little girl running back and forth upstairs. I'm in the garage freezing to death. My hands are shaking like crazy. But, so I just got the base support, or the handle support, and screwed it into the base. That handle, of course, it's got a receiver. But before we do that, we're going to take this sheep's foot blade, and we're going to take it, and hopefully I've got this lined up. I don't have the best setup for videos yet, but you can see there's some kind of guidelines right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line those guidelines up at the back edge of that blade and really souse down on this lock nut there, because you don't want this thing moving around while you're doing this. You want it to be stiff. And another thing, if you're not super comfortable with being around sharp blades, you're going to want to maybe wear some gloves, because as we're sharpening this knife, you're going to be moving towards that blade, and you're also going to be feeling for a burr. And what a burr is that's kind of, as we're putting this edge on this blade, you're going to get kind of a buildup of material, and that's known as a burr. And that's how we'll know we're really moving towards what we're trying to do in resurfacing this blade. Now what I told you is we've got from 50 on up to 1500 grit diamonds. I'm not going to go 50 to 1500 because, like I told you, I maintain my knives. So we're just going to put kind of a resurface on this knife, and plus I don't want to take up all your time. We're going to go 300 up to 1500 and do that. So what you're going to want to do is put that diamond hone in that receiver in such a manner that it's straight. And another thing, this here can kind of get cocked on you a little bit. And what I worry about, what I ran into, is if you keep that, you will nick the crap out of all the work you've done with that blade. So you want to make sure that that's tight, but you also want to make sure that that edge is clean. And what I mean by clean is it will not hit that blade. And then take your guide rod and then screw it back into that. So that's what we're doing. So now I'm going to explain the Sharpies. The reason for the Sharpie, and now I'm cheating because I've already got my rig set up, but if you've got a new knife in here that you've never sharpened before, you're going to want to take a Sharpie, and what you want to do is you want to mark that leading edge of that knife in such a manner that just kind of get that, just kiss it with that Sharpie like this. And what that does is when you take this diamond hone across that blade edge, if you're taking the Sharpie off all of that blade cutting edge, then you know that you've got your angle set right. And I've got a really clean cutting edge, so I know that this diamond is taking all of that Sharpie off, and I've got my angle set right. So, and all I'm doing right now, I'm so dang used to doing this, I'm just pushing these two fingers forward, and it's releasing this spring, and there's two lock pins right here, so it just allows me to get both of those and rotate it to get both edges of that double bevel. Now, one contrast to the Wicked Edge is it holds both of the diamond hones to where you can sharpen both edges of a double bevel blade at the same time. So that is one nice thing that I like about that system compared to this system. Anyways, so we're gonna get some honing oil. Man, I just ripped the daggum crap out of that bag. Anyway, Just a drop will do. You don't have to soak this thing. Just put 1 drop on there. And also, before I get too much further ahead, we need to take that CBN emulsion in our diamond strop. You want to do this on the first of it because you really want this CBN emulsion. You also want to shake it up really well. And be careful around that blade. I'm telling you, you will cut the crap out of yourself with these blades once they're good and sharp. So I am very, very careless around these knives. One thing my great granddad always told me is you don't own a knife until you cut yourself with it. I know that sounds kind of crazy to some of y'all, but trust me, I own every one of my knives if you go by that logic. And then just kind of work that into that leather strop and then just set it to the side until we're ready for it. All right, so we're gonna put that in the guide rod and just kind of work it back and forth. Now with these hones, we're just working towards a burr. And you, with this 300 grit, you don't really have to put a whole lot of pressure down there. If you really put some kind of dang gorilla pressure down on this thing, it's going to move the blade edge down and you're going to change your angle. Because think about it, the more pressure down, the angle is going to change. So just work it back and forth and get the entire blade edge, and you're feeling for a burr. And I've already got a burr developing. So, and I'm going to try to go through this really quick. And you'll see that blade, if you really focus on that blade and have good lighting, you'll see that blade surface start to change and kind of brighten up. And especially with that Sharpie will kind of talk to you also and tell you when you've resurfaced the cutting edge. I hope that stinking camera is not moving a whole lot as I'm sharpening this. And when you're checking for a burr, another thing to point out, I'm not pushing towards, because the sharper this knife gets, it will shave you. I'm pulling towards myself. And a burr is not really going to be something that's just so pronounced that you're going to be like, oh yeah, there's a burr. It's just kind of resistance, because if I go this way, it's smooth. The burr is going to be on the bottom side. Here, I feel the burr right here, but not so much there. So I know that I need to kind of work on this side down here a little bit more. Kind of work it back towards the blade handle or the knife handle. And listen, I know that this being my first video, there's probably going to be some critics. You know, I'm not doing it right, you do it gooder than me. And that's probably the case, but I'm telling you what, if I'm doing something wrong, I want you to tell me, because I'm constantly learning. I'm not the pro. Maybe you're not the pro. I like learning. I'm learning every day. So if you guys see something I'm doing wrong, I'm begging you, please tell me. This video here is just to kind of tell people, hey, look here, I've learned this along the way, and I want to show people that it don't take a whole lot of confidence to put a cutting edge on a knife. It just takes a little bit of know-how and a little bit of learning. So there, once I get a burr on each side with this 300, I just kind of push, and then I'll push, and then we'll go to the next hone. So you just loosen that up, throw the grit in there, and then we'll go to the 600. So I'm probably going to go ahead and not show you the 600 grit, and then I'll pick up back on the video with the 1500 grit. So neighbors, I'll see you in about a few minutes. All right, so I made it through the 600 grit, yeah, 600 grit, and I've moved up to the 1500 grit. I've got a little bit of hone oil on it. I've worked it into the hone here, the stone, and now with this one, I want to stress that the pressure that you're going to put on this stone is not really anything at all. You're really just going to want to let the weight of this do most of the work for you. It's more of a polishing stone and a finishing stone. So when I say the weight of this doing the work, I mean it. It's really just kind of, you can really hear the difference from that other stone to this one. See there, it's really, if my little girl upstairs wasn't running back and forth, you hear how smooth that is? I'm hitting this backstop here. That's where that grinding's coming from, but over there, nothing. I don't really feel any resistance at all. And a lot about this sharpening is feeling what the stone is doing. If you feel resistance, and you've got some buildup there, so you want to get that buildup off before you hit it with this strop on the next step. And again, you really want some good lighting over what you're doing, because you can see some burrs and some buildup. And you want it to be kind of a, it's not gonna, I mean, I've seen guys take a knife to I've seen people take a knife edge to a mirror finish, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I use my pocket knife every day. I would like it to be a mirror finish, but I know as soon as I take my pocket knife out and cut something and it takes that mirror finish, it's gonna make me sick as a dog. So I keep it to where it'll cut, and it'll cut every time I need it to cut something, but a mirror finish, it's not really necessary for my pocket knife. So for me, I like to take this 1500 across each edge twice. So I'll flip it and do it again. The second time, I'm not really gonna do it as much, and then just kind of work it back and from the front to the back. And I'm not feeling anything across that blade, so I know we've done a really good job. And another thing I want to mention, that thing keeps coming loose. When you're flipping this, don't let it hit these locking pins, because you can hit this knife and it'll throw that angle off. So I'm pushing all the way forward and making sure that I don't change the angle of the blade. And then we'll just kind of take it forward again. And that's about it for that. So I'm going to clean a lot of this oil off of that 1500, just because I like keeping this one really well maintained, because that leather strop and that CBN emulsion is our finishing step, and that's how we're going to tell how sharp that knife is. So we've sharpened the knife, created a burr, and then we've honed it off. We've honed it off with that 1500, and we're going to strop it, and we're going to use that CBN emulsion. Now what that CBN stands for is cubic boron nitride. Nitride. Look here, I'm about as southern as cornbread, so that nitride is second to only diamond in hardness. So adding a drop to this leather strop is really going to take this blade edge to a microscopic, razor finish. And I realize I sound like I'm full of crap, but I'm not lying to you. It's really going to take any of these blade imperfections and take it to the next level. So when we strop this, and you can see when I first got this strop, I took it the wrong way and I nicked the piss out of it. So I'm going to turn that the other way, because when you strop, you want to take it this way towards the front. And we're just going to really just, it's the same thing with old school barbers. They'd strop that razor knife and they're just taking the imperfections off the blade before, or the razor, before they shaved a person. And again, with that good lighting, you can really see this thing go to the next level. And you really can't strop it too much. I mean, you're not doing anything but good things here. I can see it just really start to shine. I don't have the best camera equipment in the world, but this knife is really starting to be a B-E-A-U-T, Clark. She's a beaut. We'll hit the other side one more again. To take a knife blade through the total progression from 50 to leather stropping, I mean, you're looking at about an hour. And that's really, now if you're gonna have to find the blade edge, the bevel angle, and all that mess, and then really, or if you're wanting to create an angle with that 50, you know, it could be an hour and a half. So, I mean, you're really gonna have to commit to, especially with that 50, because you're taking a lot of material off if you're trying to find an angle with that 50. But yeah, you could look at about an hour and a half for doing a complete Stockman with 3 blades. I mean, you know, I'm not saying it's going to take 4 hours, because, you know, with anything, you start with the first blade and it takes a while. You do the second blade and it gets a little bit quicker, and then the third blade. By that time, you're daggone, you know, you're Usain Bolt running the dang 100 meter. You're a professional by that time. So, anywho, hey, I'm telling you what, I think we're in pretty good shape right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. Now, taking these knives loose, I always like to hold it right here. I don't try to get too close to that dang alligator's tooth right there. And then loose it up, and then grab it there, and then she's out. Now I'm gonna explain what this Ballistol is. This stuff here, it's miracle oil. I ain't lying to you. You can use this stuff on door hinges. Pull the pin out, spray a little bit of that on there, and you'll take a squeaky door to quiet as a church mouse. But what I like to use this on, you can see that little nick there, that scratch. A little bit of tape build up, some imperfections. You can see that pocket went in there. I'm not going to go to the depth of showing you how to clean that out. For God's sake, surely you can figure that out. But all those fingerprints, just a little bit on each side. You can use a lint-free towel. I'm all out of them right now, unfortunately. But this little towel here, I'm not going to go into depth of polishing the blade with Ballistol, but it'll get, if you're cutting a lot of tape off of boxes or, you know, any old thing, it'll get that crap off there in no time. But see there, she's, it's hard to get that thing to focus, but if I keep working with that Ballistol, that knife's really going to go to the next level. Old piece of cardstock here. That's all it took. About 20 minutes of hitting it with the KME sharpening system, and we've got a new blade. Hey, I appreciate y'all watching my video. If you liked it, hit subscribe, share it. I don't know how all that mess works, but the old pink bubble gum and purple Case Stockman's got a new edge on it. Thank y'all.